Welcome to the Soffy Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to the extra time for Crystal Palace nil Everton nil. Everton labour to another point. It's a point nonetheless, but could have done with a bit more. Certainly could have done with a bit more in the performance. Going by Paul to look back on. Bit of a non-event, really, wasn't it?
It was a non-event from Everton's point of view, yeah, because I don't really think we ever looked like scoring. We could have played till 9 o'clock that night and probably not even got anywhere close. As you said, it's a clean sheet, isn't it? And normally when you're in the position Everton are in, a clean sheet's not to be sniffed at. But we finished the day in the bottom three, and I know it's only the bottom three on the last day that counts, but I don't really think it was the type of result to put any one of these. I don't think anyone came out of that game thinking that Everton's chances of staying up were any stronger. It just makes us even more worried and makes the anxiety build and just places even more importance on the games that are coming up. There's pluses and there's negatives, which I imagine we'll talk about as going into it. But there wasn't anything there for me that made me think, yeah, I think Everton have got this in them. If anything, it reinforced my belief that there's just certain players in our playing squad who are just absolutely not cut out for the Premier League level. Never mind Premier League level when you're under the cosh and you're just desperate to get a result from somewhere. Same players who've let us down time and again continue to let us down.
Yeah, it is just players who aren't up to the task, and no, I think obviously it's easy to single out Mason Holgate because, well, it was bloody daft, wasn't it? He
Well,
absolutely
I can't.
rinsed.
When was the last time he? And I understand why Holgate came into the team. Just going into that, Coleman is out injured. Patterson, he mustn't feel is ready for us to start a game yet. And even so, Patterson's had a very up and down campaign, hasn't he? He's looked good in some games. He's looked terrible in others. So I can imagine if Dyche just wanted to solidify the back and make sure, or be as sure as he possibly could be, that we would keep a clean sheet, why you'd fancy Holgate at right back over Nathan Patterson at this point. But how long has Mason Holgate been at the club now? He's been here since Bartnes, hasn't he?
Yeah, Roberto Martinez signed them 8 years ago.
And did he make his full debut under Koeman?
Or I think towards the end of Martinez, I think he did, yeah.
Towards the end of Martinez, he became like a first team player who we would see in the team regularly under Koeman. And that was 2017, and we're in the middle of 2023. He's been at the club like 7 seasons now, whatever it is, and at no point has he ever really nailed down a place or shown that he's absolutely up to this level with the Premier League and look like he could be a player who other Premier League teams are looking at thinking, you know what, I won't name any other clubs, but the type of player who you'd think is catching other clubs' eye. You know, he's not doing anything that Anthony Gordon was doing, or anything that Barkley was doing, or anything that John Stones was doing, or even what Onana's doing now. I know he's not been here long, but the type of player who's putting in consistent performances and looking like, yeah, there's something there in that lad. If he keeps going the way he's going, in 2 or 3 years, he'll be playing in a team much better than Everton. At no point has he ever put a run of form together that leads you to suggest that he could go above Everton. So I think, if anything, he's just played time and time again, and he's made you think, why is he even here? He's gone down the pecking order for every season that's gone, hasn't he? And he's playing at right back in this game because he's done a job here and there for us in the past. And as you said, he can't even come in and be relied upon to do the absolute basics, which is just keep his discipline and to just do just do the simple things. No one was expecting him to bomb up the wing and put crosses in. No one was expecting him to fully mark Saha out of the game. But just go on there and keep discipline and help keep the shape and just make sure that the players who are in front of you didn't have to worry about having to track back too much because they've got enough to do at the other end trying to get a goal. And he can't even do that. He completely messed it up and put us under the cosh for the last 10 minutes. And if we'd have conceded it late on, then all the blame would have gone on him. And right, so he's just one of these players who, to sum up, I'm just sick to death of
He's a
being at this club.
liability. He's a
I'm sick to
liability.
death of seeing him. Yeah, I'm sick to death of seeing him. I'm sick to death of us having to give him chances. I'm sick to death of managers giving him another like a clean slate. He's other than Coleman, is he the player who's had the most managers?
Yes, yeah. Well, he's the
I think
next
he
longest
is. Yeah.
serving
Is there
after
any? Yeah.
James
Is he?
Coleman.
Yeah. I can't. Yeah. Other than Coleman, I can't think of any other player who's been with us since the Martinez era who's still here, other than Holgate. So he's just one of those players I'm just so tired of. And I wouldn't, I don't want to be too harsh on him. It's not like we spent a lot of money and he's bombed on us like a lot of other players over the last few years where we've just been utterly ripped off in terms of what we expected. But he's just a player who's failed time and time again to prove that he belongs in the Everton shirt.
Yeah, I think his race is run. He should be gone in the summer. And to be honest, I think he will be because I don't really think Deitch fancies him that much. He's literally, like you said, he's resorting to like the third or fourth option in that position. Even that's not his preferred position. He's just shoehorning him in because he needs him.
Yeah, it won't be as simple as he goes in the summer because no one will want to buy him the same way they haven't wanted to buy him for the last 3, 4 years, where I think we probably would have sold him for a decent offer had we ever got one. His contract, I don't think runs out this summer. Is it the summer after? Don't think Holgate's out
Yes,
of contract. Yeah, Holgate's not out of contract just yet. He got a new deal a few years ago.
Ancelotti gave him a new deal.
Tragically, yeah. Like a lot of players, like Michael Keane as well, who just hit a little run of form under Ancelotti, had a good, 3 month spell, maybe, if that, and somehow bagged himself a new deal out of it, and it's just been hanging around like a bad smell ever since, just complete deadwood. But going back to the game itself, it was just the same old story. We have absolutely no goals in us. We're so toothless in the final third, and we just don't have anything that will trouble a team. Even other teams who are diabolical will be looking at Everton thinking we've got no reason to fear Everton. We can just go straight at them because there's nothing up the other end that they can hurt us with. We couldn't hurt teams like Southampton or teams like Bournemouth, who've got some of the worst defences in the division. West Ham, we played them, we couldn't hurt them. That's all. Fulham, who were losing 5 games on the bounce, were throwing goals in the net. We couldn't do anything to them either. So it's just so concerning, isn't it, that we've just got no goals, no matter how good we are at the back in terms of our centre halves, maybe hitting a bit of form, or how well Jordan Pickford does. If we're not going to score, we're not staying up. It's as simple as that. All the
Well, that's what
teams
I said.
all the teams that survive relegation battles are teams that have goals in them. Whether it's Sunderland with Defoe, whether it was Swansea with Llorente, that big target man they had when they were in the league a few years ago, whether it was last season when we got Calvert-Lewin back just in time.
Well, that's it. I
It's
think
just
like
so.
I think a lot. I was called a bit of a doom monger the other day, saying we're going to go down because we're now in the bottom three. To put it back in our hands, we've got to score the goals, and where are they going to come from?
It's like I said, you don't want to sound like a doom monger, but you look at it now, and are you reasonably confident that Everton are going to get it back out the bottom three between now and the end of the
No, I'm
season?
not at all.
I'm not, because I don't see what games we're winning. I know we've got the likes of Bournemouth on the last day, which could be pivotal. I know we've got we've got another game as well. I'm not talking about City or Newcastle. We've got I think Leicester away, yeah, and
Leicester
Leicester are
away,
chucking
we've got
goals in.
Brighton away, who
Leicester
probably wiped the floor with us.
Leicester who are chucking goals in. But again, even teams with bad defences have got no reason to fear us because we just don't have anything. And that's all down to, again, terrible recruitment from the board, not only in the summer, but in January when they left us with only one recognised striker. And that one recognised striker was a crock in Calvert-Lewin, and bringing in a striker who was famous for not scoring goals in Morpay and then not getting anyone in January. So this is all the board's fault, as much as they want to insist that they're the best in the business. We won't go on to that, but it was a type of game that just left me more frustrated with where we are as a club, and just pointing the finger at the same people we've been pointing at the finger at all the last couple of years. We're just a very badly run club that's got the recruitment terribly wrong, and never was that more evident than it was on last week.
It's it's painful to watch us try and score a goal, isn't it? It's just like we don't have any attacking ideas. I mean, the lack of strike is bad enough, but I feel like we don't really have any creativity either.
We don't create anything. We don't nothing. We don't carve teams open. It's not like we're creating chances and we've got players who just can't score them. We don't create anything. Dwight McNeil is a very hot and cold winger in terms of he's up and down. He'll have a few good games here and there, and then he'll have a rubbish few games here and there. Looks like he's young, but so far over the course of the season, he's probably leveled out as being somewhere quite average, really. We've got Damari Gray, who's again another player who, on the whole, you could describe as average. He has games where he's really effective, and he has games where he's completely missing. So you've got two average players in that. We've got Pay, who is not a Premier League. It's not a Premier League quality. I'm sure if you drop
Another
him down to the champ,
liability, and he's a liability.
yeah, just another player who maybe if he was playing in the Championship, he'd look a far better player than he does in the Premier League. But he can't cut it at this level. Couldn't cut it at this level when he was playing for Brighton. You've got Calvert-Lewin, who's not ever on the pitch. I know he played against Palace, but he's only just back in the team. You can't expect him to hit the ground running. Who knows if he'll even get up to full fitness before the end of the season? And even if he does, will it be too late by then? And what else have we got? We had
Nothing.
Anthony Gordon, who I think is another. We had Anthony Gordon, who was again another. When you looked at it, the sum of everything, I think was a bang average winger, and he's gone. So we haven't even got that. It's not like we've got 4 or 5 bang average forward players, and we can just kind of interchange them all and hope that when one player's out of form, we can swap him with someone else who is in form. We've just got to stick with these out of form players because there's no one else. We've got an Ellis Sims who's completely unproven and has gone on loan a couple of times and looked all right up in Scotland and looked all right down in the Championship. But if we put him in the Premier League, what defences, what seasoned centre half players are going to look at Ellis Sims thinking, oh, I'm going to have a tough day today against him? I don't think there's any centre half in the league who would be lining up against Ellis Sims and would not fancy themselves to get the better of him.
Well, yeah, I mean that
But
that can obviously change with over time because you know young players will grow into their own, but we aren't in a position where we can wait for that.
we haven't got no time, no. Well, I suppose we've got to talk about the other, look at it from the other angle, the positives. Because I was talking to Owen, who made some good points. Crystal Palace were the informed team in the division. Weren't they coming into the game on the back of 3 wins under Hodgson?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they basically with the first team to take points off them since Hodgson came back. We kept a clean sheet, which we haven't kept hardly any of this season. And again, they were a team that were putting goals past people. We had Calvert-Lewin back, who maybe if he'd have been a little bit sharper, would have buried that one opportunity he created for himself in the second half. That's the type of chance where you think if Calvert-Lewin gets that, then he'll score them more often than not. As I said, we're in the bottom 3 now, but there's still 6 fixtures to go. The bottom 3's been changing constantly over the last couple of months. You'd imagine it's probably going to change again in the next couple of weeks. You just have to hope that Everton can somehow pull a result out of somewhere, but we are clutching, aren't we? We are clutching. It's not even like the XG is good, is it? Where
No, I mean
you could.
in the early
I'm not
weeks
one for
under
stats,
Dyche,
but
it was actually quite good. But then it's all gone a bit pear shaped the last month or so.
we've just become Burnley, and that's horrible to say. Burnley, a team that works hard mostly. There's might be 1 or 2 players who drag the feet sometimes, but we've got a manager who gets the most out of the least, guarantees that his teams will run around and put effort in. I've got maybe 1 or 2 key players in midfield and in defence that make them hard to break down and absolutely batter. Because Burnley didn't get battered too often, did they? Most games that they lost were usually tight games, but they've just got nothing up front, and they don't win enough games ultimately to finish anywhere in the league that's of any consequence. They stayed up most seasons, but other than that, one year they got to 7th miraculously. They were consistently in the bottom 5 or 6, weren't they? It was a team that nobody really paid any attention to because they were a team that didn't threaten to ever do anything. And that's what Everton are now. If we somehow manage to fluke staying up, we'll still be a team that is down in the doldrums. Just a team that we were under Walter Smith. Just a consistent bottom half team that doesn't have any sort of standout players really, other than maybe 1 or 2,
Doesn't
and
doesn't
a
have
team
any
that doesn't
sort of
really
threat.
a team
Yeah,
that doesn't go away and win any big games, a team that doesn't really beat any of the big boys at Goodison, doesn't ever put in the type of performance where fans think, you're right, we're on a roll now, we can really sort of build and look towards achieving something in the latter half of the season. We're just a team that wins 1 week, loses 2, draws again, maybe wins again. It's 2 wins out of 17 or 2 wins out of 8, if that. And it is really depressing, but we've just got to hope that if we can get to the summer and we can stay up, that the changes at the club will get made and we'll maybe make 1 or 2 correct signings and that we can hopefully get into the stadium and that the ship will slowly turn around. It just feels like everything is on this campaign. If we can somehow survive this, we can probably survive anything. That's the way I feel. If we can just somehow make
Yeah,
it over the line this season, you'd fancy us to make us. We could make it over the line in the future, no matter what gets thrown at us.
I mean,
But if we go down this season, it kind of feels like that's it. That's it for Everton. They've run out of lives. There's no coming back.
I wouldn't go that far. I think it's not going to be good news if we go, but I'm not going to be too over dramatic about us going down. The one thing I will say is if we do go down, I think even the last remnants of the sentimentals out there will turn. And I'm hoping that'll get rid of the board. That's the one thing that I think that's the one little positive I think I might get out of if we did go is that we
I
could
know.
finally
But
shift them
it's
as,
one of
as
them. We could have been doing this a decade ago, but people just wouldn't listen. Do you know what I mean? And
course,
I
yeah.
mean,
And
is that
like,
the price? If you'd have said to us 10 years ago, whenever it was, when people first started trying to seriously trying to get Ken Wright and company sort of removed, if you'd have said to people then, including me, right, the price of you just actually getting rid of this and getting the changes at the top of the club that you want is that you get relegated, I wouldn't have took it because the sport of relegation is just
no, of course not,
diabolical,
but we're
isn't it?
not in a position where you can pick or choose one of them. It could be both.
I know. I suppose we're clutching at straws, but I'm trying to not be too much of a doomsdayer. We did keep a clean sheet against a very informed team. We did get our star striker, who's probably our best chance of getting out of this, back on the pitch. He played 90 minutes. He had a good opportunity that you'd fancy that he created for himself out of nothing. That he'd probably score most of the weeks. We've just got to hope now that we don't get any new injuries for the end of the season. We can keep going with the team that was so resilient against Crystal Palace, even when they went down to 10 men, and hope that that team can somehow drag 8 or 9 points out of the remaining fixtures because that would probably be enough. But it's it's
Right, and it's going to
really
be nervous.
it's anxious times, anxious times.
We've got to say a prayer because some of our results, some of our fixtures are daunting. I
Who
mean,
are they? We've got Newcastle on
Newcastle,
Thursday night. Then who's the away game after that? Is it Leicester?
I think it's Leicester.
Got to
Then
win that.
got to win.
City.
Then Brighton away.
Yeah,
Then Wolves away, and then Bournemouth at home.
yeah, we've got to get 8 or 9 points out of them. You might look at them and think where are the wins coming from, but if we don't get at least 2 wins out of that, we're gone. I think
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
absolutely, yeah. So let's just hopefully we can somehow pull off a shock result. We did it last season. We went down to Leicester and pulled off a shock result there when Leicester were in much better nick than they are now. Um, Hopefully we can pull that out if just all the fans show the passion that we show, because apparently the protest for Newcastle's been cancelled. It's going to be a coach welcome instead, or because it's a home game, they're just going to be welcoming the players into the stadium, whether they come on the coach or whether they come in the cars, whatever.
Fair play,
They're
whatever happens, I'm
going to get
happy
the
to be
yeah,
there. Like,
going to get the pyro out, going to get the flags out, going to sing their hearts out. We got over the line last season through just pure passion, and and we're going to have to rely. We're trying to rely on that again. Hopefully, the pure passion is enough to get us over the line this time, because certainly this board's not going to get us over the line, and the majority of these players are not good enough to get us over the line. And who knows if the manager's good enough to get us over the line? I think he's done reasonably well since he came in, but like you said, the start was good, but it has tailed off a little bit the last few weeks. Dyche has made some very poor decisions over the last month or so, and he's got to take some responsibility for the drop off in form, definitely. But if he's the manager that we all hope he is, and hopefully he can mastermind a big result or two like he used to do with Burnley, and we can somehow just get the season over with and somehow stay out of the bottom three when it comes to the end of the last day.
yeah, fingers crossed. But we'll leave it at this anyway because no point dwelling on. Like we said, it was a bit of a non-event this game, and I think one will be glad to see the back of and hopefully start scoring some goals again. But till now, till then, Crystal Palace 0, Everton 0. Leave your comments, give this video a like and subscribe for more content. Until next time, guys. Thanks for tuning in on the Toffee Blues.